On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, we're going to do the SEC tier list from the week in college football gone by. Week 7, we're already through 7 weeks. The season is flying by. Had some good games across the SEC. We'll obviously kind of rehash a little Mizzou, Kentucky a couple days later here when we get to that game. So we'll talk all the action in the SEC. We're going to do quick hits, and then we'll finish out with our fraud rankings to close the show. Wild week in the NFL. So plenty to dive into. There was a lot of good candidates for the fraud rankings. I have a feeling Kenny had a bit of a field day with those this week. But yeah, really great show for you guys. And it's all presented by Bet Online. Football is back. And Bet Online is your number one information source for all your sports wagering with all the up-to-minute stats, news, and scores and matchup breakdowns. Get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals from the NFL and college football right at your fingertips with Bet Online's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. From week 1 all the way to the college football playoff and Super Bowl, Bet Online gives you access to the best football promotions and contests anywhere available online. We'll have our best beats segment as per usual later on in the show. I have some sicko football bet that I'm excited to share from Bet Online. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, BELIEVE, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts, and the unwritten rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Peyton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Monday, October 16th. This is just a reminder, everybody. I know we did the recap back on Saturday for everyone. Mizzou football is 6-1. It has been a phenomenal start to the season for the Tigers, and we're going to get to them. We know we talked about their game a bunch, and they will obviously have a fairly high place in the SEC tier list this week that we're going to start. And actually, we will start with Mizzou, Kenny and Peyton, just diving right into it. The tier list this week, obviously a couple teams on bye. There were some good games elsewhere as well. Alabama was tested. We'll get to them. We're going to start in our usual tier, which is, of course, the Georgia tier. But guess what, guys? Georgia's not in that tier this week. That tier belongs to one man and one man alone, and that is your QB1, Luke Bauer. Luke Bauer is in the Georgia tier. Had, a moment to literally turn around the game for Mizzou in just crazy, wild fashion. We talked all about it on Saturday. So congrats, Luke Bauer. I think it's like him and maybe Luther Burden are like the only two who have cracked the Georgia tier so far this season. So, good for him. Have to give him his praise again for the fake punt.
That will be the clip that starts the Mizzou Gator Bowl
DVD.
DVD. So rest easy, Mizzou fans.
Luke Bauer's touchdown pass on the fake punt made it as number 1 on ESPN's top 10 plays. That's pretty fun to see, especially for a guy when you look at his profile on the Mizzou website. Did not appear in any games, redshirted this season, majoring in business are the only 4 notes that you can see. And he has eligibility till 2025. Luke Bauer should never lose that punting job.
There should be one player every college football program just gets to have unlimited eligibility for, and Mizzou's it should be Luke Bauer. He just gets to stay for as long as he wants until he retires from football. It was a beautiful moment. Moving on, boys. So Georgia normally in the Georgia tier. I move them down one rung below. I'm calling this the maybe human tier. The Bulldogs almost left too much time on the clock for Vandy on the road. We talked about the construction site. I know I teased it when Kenny and I went on the Believe Kentucky podcast. Georgia 37, Vanderbilt 20. They did eke out the win, but I mean, is this team human? We saw the Auburn, a little bit of a shaky game there too.
Yeah, look, Gabe DeArmond put it best in one of his Mizzou post-game shows one time. Expecting college kids to go out and play 100% perfect every week is completely unrealistic. Kenny, your dogs are going wild. So Georgia is still far and away the best team in my eyes until they prove otherwise. And I have seen nothing but wins this year, so I'm not going to punish them for having a bit of stumbles along the way. If every team is going to have them, that's still the best team in the nation.
It's good that their bye week comes this week as well. Kind of get back on track. And in week 9, the Bulldogs are facing Florida on the road, which is always a big game each year. So I think they'll get right against the Gators.
That's fair. I'm gonna put him in there for just conversation starter. But you can ask Joe Burrow. We'll get to NFL. You can ask Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Don't apologize for winning, no matter how it comes. I mean, it's a dub in the end. Only other note I remember, or just to point out, obviously Brock Bowers got hurt in this game. I think he's gonna have surgery. But I think he'll be fine. Obviously, they have the bye week, like Peyton said.
Okay, maybe they are vulnerable then. That's bad.
If they have no Brock Bowers,
Yeah.
I did just see that news, but maybe human. We don't know. Mizzou goes there in a couple weeks down the road. Have to get through South Carolina first. And speaking of Missouri, we'll do them first. The first of 4 teams I'm putting in the winner tier. Of course, Mizzou. We talked all about it, so you guys can just quick hit on maybe anything you missed, anything you want to add. Now, a couple days removed from that win over Kentucky, but I'm putting Missouri in the winner tier this week firmly.
Just one thing I want to add on Missouri. I went back and watched the highlights yesterday. I'll give some props to the O-line, believe it or not. Cameron Johnson, the penalties are a big part of playing O-line. He's got to clean those up. Man, he can just straight move some people in the run game, though. I mean, he had the key block that sprung Cody Schrader's 19-yard touchdown. Armand Membu, he was good. Xavier Delgado continues to impress. So I just noticed that. Get through South Carolina, man. Get to the bye 7-1. Maybe if Brock Bowers is out, who knows what can happen down in Athens. Probably not good things, but
Tigers enter this week at number 20 in the nation. That's the highest rank that the Tigers have been under Eli Drinkwitz, so that's a cool thing to see as well. We talked, I think, during a recording of the recap, we were kind of projecting where they would sit, and I think 20 was around that range. It was 20 inside the 20 to 25, and good spot there for the Tigers.
Yeah, good thing to point out, because obviously we didn't know after the recap, but we touched on where we thought they might have been ranked. And so, 20 heading into South Carolina, obviously get the benefit too of the literal 23 through 25 all losing. I think last week there was a shakeup at the bottom of the AP poll. Shout out Mizzou getting the dub. Other 3 teams, I got Tennessee in there. We'll go to them. This was I felt a pretty big game for both these teams. Beat Texas A&M, dropping Texas A&M to 4-3. We'll get to them, but Tennessee 20-13 over the Aggies. They moved to 5-1, jumped up a little bit on the AP poll as well. So that'll be a big game. Mizzou obviously still has to play them, but Tennessee still looking pretty good. I know Joe Milton has some mixed reviews, I would say, but they managed to squeak out a win here. The Vols did.
I don't even think they're mixed reviews. He's just been bad. There's really no way around it. This is the least Josh Heupel team ever. They really are winning games with their defense and their run game, which is bizarre. Those were the 2 things people were worried about with Josh Heupel going forward. But hey, you don't apologize for having only 1 loss, and it's kind of inexplicable they lost to Tennessee. Or Florida, sorry.
This quarterback battle is just disgusting. We gave Max Johnson a lot of praise. The game was close. Was 16 for 34 for 223 yards, no touchdowns and 2 picks. Versus Joe Milton, who was 11 for 22 with 100 yards, a touchdown and a pick. These guys should be like ones that put up a lot of stats. I mean, they were, maybe not. I guess Joe Milton did have a little bit of hype because of that arm strength coming into the season. But man, this is just a gross quarterback battle. Averaging 6.6 yards a pass and 4.5 per pass. Oh, geez. Like I would have thought this game would have been a lot more fun. It was close, like we kind of expected. These 2 teams seemed on a similar play level, but man, that's a disgusting quarterback battle.
Yeah, that's bad. Only other note I have is shout out. Yeah, Peyton mentioned the run game. This guy, Jalen Wright, Jr. out of Durham, North Carolina. He has 571 yards and a touchdown. rushed for 136 on 19 carries. So maybe a name to watch going forward if that's where Tennessee's offense seems to be headed. Another team easily in the winners this week, LSU, got things done. They played another game against another Tigers team, back-to-back weeks, beat Auburn this past week, 48-18. Blew them out in the Bayou. Jane Daniels, man. I mean, what else can you say?
That's a elite team. I don't really care what their win-loss is. There is so much talent on that offense in particular. I think we kind of knew this result was going to be that lopsided when we previewed this.
It's almost by transitive property that LSU is the most dominant Tiger team in the NFL, or not in the NFL, in NCAA this year, in the FBS, that is, because they beat Mizzou, who beat Memphis. They played a close game against Florida State, who beat Clemson. I mean, there's a lot going on there for the Tiger teams, and I mean, it's pretty easy to say LSU is the best Tiger team, though. I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good web, though. I like that. The transitive property theory. Yeah, they just look really, really good, and we'll get to maybe some of Auburn's woes when we get to them in a second. Final team I put in the winner, I really didn't know. I mean, you could, again, speaking of not apologizing for winning, Alabama is the last team I put in this winner tier, 24-21 over the Hogs of Arkansas on homecoming in Tuscaloosa. Again, don't apologize for winning. They got things done. We'll get to Arkansas and their woes, but this game got a little nervous in the second half, but Alabama still managed to pull out the win and avoid disaster last week.
This is one of the most interesting Nick Saban teams I've ever seen. They have flashes of really great play. I mean, that first half was really good. It's everything you wanted to see from your defense and Jalen Milroe. And boy, did Milroe not play well in the second half, but he made a couple throws at the end, especially that 1 2nd and 13, I think it was, throw. Horrible decision. It was in between 3 defenders, but it was an elite throw. So they got it done. It just depends on which Alabama's going to show up.
Yeah, for these two teams that have been a lot of offense the last couple of years, just another really kind of sloppy day, just an inconsistent day. KJ Jefferson still not seeing that same quarterback that dominated the SEC for 2 years. Even 14 for 24, 150 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns. I don't really know what's going wrong for him, but man, he was a guy that we brought it up last week that Eli Drinkwitz was hoping that wouldn't come back and would just explore a professional opportunity, but it's just not looking like a good season for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, Dan Enos, who is at Alabama, has not seemed to click with them for Arkansas, but we'll get to them. I know Alabama, I was watching this game. They gave me a lot of reminders of old Mizzou at times. They had a really stupid penalty that helped Arkansas score to get back into it. I think it was a face mask. Yep. They hurt themselves with bad O-line play at times too. It was very Mizzou-y, a very Mizzou-y win for Alabama. But again, win's a win. They're in the winner tier and still firmly in that, could have a path to the playoffs still, which is obviously what Nick Saban wants every year. So we'll see where they go. Big game this weekend. We'll get that in the preview against Tennessee. Next tier, I think I'll let Kenny go first for this one. This is the back tier because me and Peyton, I think, finally have been forced to maybe admit, yes, it was over South Carolina, but Florida in dramatic fashion got things done. And Florida might be back, folks. I'm putting them in the back tier. Kenny, you have been riding the wave of the Gators all year. And Mr. Mertz, he had a good game. Florida 41, South Carolina 39. Florida's back.
It's time to abolish the ultimate frisbee tier because Graham Mertz went 30 for 48. He was slinging it, 423 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have a lower QBR than Spencer Rattler, who also had a pretty good day, 23 for 30 for 313 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. He also ran for 46 on the ground. Overall, great day for Graham Mertz, getting the feel of the SEC. This one was on the road as well. I brought it up during the recap that Shane Beamer can't get out of a press conference without blaming someone else. I think he should have gave some credit to Graham Mertz. He's him.
That would require Shane Beamer not thinking about his own image the whole time, but we'll get to South Carolina. No, yeah, this was damn annoying. I had Florida as like a shoe-in win for Mizzou. I thought it was the second easiest win for Mizzou on the SEC slate behind Vanderbilt, obviously. But I gotta give some credit to Florida begrudgingly. They've been better than I expected. I still think Mizzou should win that game because Florida is not scoring 40 points again this year. They just don't play that style. South Carolina, man, we'll get to them, but boy, it is a struggle over there in Columbia. But Florida, give them credit. I mean, they ran off a 10-point deficit in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, congrats. Well done, Kenny. Florida's back, at least for this week. Next tier, got to have the bye week tier. Only teams on bye this week, both the Mississippi schools. Ole Miss next week is on the road at Auburn, and Mississippi State is in the battle of mid against Arkansas. Only note I have, congrats to Mississippi State for finally getting out of the dog water tier for a week, and they didn't even have to play football. That might be the only way they get out of that. They stink. Next tier, I'm calling it the play with heart tier. We teased it a little bit when we talked about Georgia. I'm putting Vanderbilt in this one above the rest of the losers. You know, they're home at the construction site. It's kind of a laughing stock of a home field advantage, it seems like, around the SEC. But you know what? If they had some more time on the clock, that game could have gotten very weird in the fourth quarter. Scored 13 points to come within. Ooh, this is a little weird tier, situation against Georgia. So shout out to Vanderbilt for at least challenging there.
They battled. I mean, Ken Seals was at quarterback again. AJ Swan still not healthy. And they made it a little interesting. They got me to at least check what was happening.
Right.
Carson Beck threw a terrible interception, which I guess means that Georgia deserves to be dropped in the rankings. But he also laid out a dude, but Vanderbilt was able to score a play later. But Vanderbilt, I mean, they took out Brock Bowers. That's like big time. And obviously they weren't trying to hurt Brock Bowers. That could have seismic implications for the SEC.
The Mizzou Tigers beat Vanderbilt by 17 on the road. The Georgia Bulldogs beat Vanderbilt by 17 on the road. Something to think about going forward when Mizzou plays Georgia in 2 weeks.
There you go.
Mizzou also scored more.
Yeah, good point.
Scored one more point.
One more point. Yeah, so shout out to Vanderbilt for playing with heart. Loser tier. I think the first team we'll go to is the most interesting one here. Loser tier first team, I want to offer you guys Texas A&M. We talked about Tennessee, but A&M now 4-3 on the year. What is your guys' assessment of this Jimbo season? You know, how it hasn't gone well, but obviously their losses haven't been to too bad of opponents. I mean, Tennessee and Bama being two of them. You know, those are good teams, but still not in the best place at this point in the year for the Aggies.
Oh, Jimbo. It's just the gift that keeps on giving this program. I really do enjoy Texas A&M in like a sick way, like because it is just a circus show every single week with them. I mean, they have literally all the talent in the world to be beating elite level teams, and they just don't do it. I mean, that was a game they needed so desperately against Tennessee, and they didn't get it. Jimbo Fisher's buyout is like $77 million or something insane. Max Johnson looked absolutely horrible. It's just better luck next year, Aggies. I don't know. It's a mess.
I liked a good message board screenshot I saw where Texas A&M will go 7-5, have one of the best recruiting classes ever under a new coach. 7-5, 7-5, fired, and the cycle continues. For Jimbo Fisher, I think 7-5 is still obtainable. After the bye this upcoming week, South Carolina at home, Ole Miss on the road, Mississippi State at home, Abilene Christian at home. Before you face LSU on the road at the end of the season, which is it's likely going to be a loss. Max Johnson probably doesn't take down his former team on the road. Those are 4 wins, 4 games that the Aggies should come away with. Ole Miss could be a test on the road, but Ole Miss has played close at home, even though they are a top 15 in the nation. I would think that there's 4 wins right there.
Yeah, we'll see. It's just a weird situation, and yeah, that's a good take. The cycle just keeps on repeating for the old Aggies. Other losers, put South Carolina in here, lost to Florida, and now 2-4 in this season, and coming to Columbia, Battle of the Columbias, in Como next week. Do they stand a chance?
Absolutely. I mean, they're still very talented. Xavier Leggett is an absolute game breaker with his speed. That is a guy I am very concerned about. I am concerned about Mizzou. We'll get more into this in the recap later this week, but Mizzou's pass defense against Spencer Rattler and Xavier Leggett and that whole passing offense in general, I think is going to be a challenge. South Carolina still doesn't really have a run game going, but man, I really hope they beat Shane Beamer. This guy is just incapable of taking blame on himself. There was that whole clip about how he's blaming the players that have coverages that work and they just can't execute. And it's like at some point I'm like waiting for him in this clip to say, and that falls on me as the coach to make sure that they're able to execute. Like Drinkwitz has done that a million times. Shane Beamer doesn't do it ever. Ever. It is never his fault that they lose a game. Ever. It's the chain gang eating a hot dog. It's the blown coverages. It's never him. I mean, South Carolina, they gave up a 4th and 10 conversion on a screen pass this week. I mean, that defense is a mess. It's just a bad situation in South Carolina, but they're still obscenely talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They have playmakers that can absolutely, on any given day, beat a team. Mizzou cannot overlook this one.
Spencer Rattler might not be the quarterback that a lot of people are expecting at Oklahoma. He's not living up to the hype that he once had. He's still a very talented quarterback. He can throw it. He can run it. It just depends which Spencer Rattler you're going to see. He's shown weaknesses last season, this season. Mizzou really, locked him up last year on the road. Just depends what Spencer Rattler you're going to see and if Mizzou can stop him again.
A word of caution from Kenny and Peyton. This team might be better than their 2-4 record suggests. Maybe if their coach would take a little bit of slack for once. All right, Dogwater tier. This might be a little mean to put a 5-2 team in the Dogwater tier. It was just ranked, but I'm putting Kentucky in here, fellas, because as much as we talked extensively about Mizzou finding out a way to win this game, Kentucky dug themselves a pretty deep hole and found a way to lose it as well with penalties and Devin Leary. It's just not working.
Yeah, I saw a stat from, I think it was Vinny Hardy, who we had on the show last week. I believe other than if you take out the first quarter where they absolutely dog-walked Mizzou 14-0, they're being outscored, I think it was 89-20 in those 7 quarters. Mark Stoops had all the momentum in the world going into Georgia. They get absolutely destroyed. I think that game that might have broken Kentucky's season. Mark Stoops complains about teams not buying or fans not buying NIL packages or whatnot, and then they get outscored 38-7 in the final 45 minutes against Mizzou. So it's messy, and they're in Lexington. It's looking like another 7-5 year.
If we had a fraud ranking, Kentucky would be number 1 for college football. Did not deserve to be ranked, and Mizzou took their spot in the AP poll after a pretty big win. So that's where I kind of stand with the Wildcats.
Yeah, I agreed. It was a little fraudy, and Mizzou exposed them in the end after a very bad first quarter. Give Kentucky credit for that. Last team in the Dogwater tier and the last team in the SEC we'll touch on this week, the Hogs of Arkansas. I know they played Bama close. This also ties in, guys, to a tier I'm putting below this. I'm putting the hot seat tier. Sam Pittman seems like he's been on it for a while. Peyton's teased it pretty much every week. This team's was staring down the barrel of 2-5. They're there now with a loss to Alabama, and the Hogs may not be bowl eligible. And Sam Hartman, I think it would be pretty safe to say, could be on his way out if they don't. No, it's not Sam Hartman. Sam Pittman. My bad. I realized Kenny gave me a look. Sam Hartman played great this week. Shout out Notre Dame. But yeah, Sam Pittman could be on his way out if the Hogs don't turn things around quickly.
Yeah, I'm heartbroken to report that Arkansas did not win any of those 4 games and is now the greatest 2-5 team ever, as dubbed by everybody on Twitter. It's just so sad to see how mighty Sam Pittman and the Hogs have fallen. It maybe raises the question to Arkansas fans, maybe your program isn't meant to go 10-2 every year, man. Maybe you're just a middle of the pack SEC team, just like Missouri, Kentucky, South Carolina. Maybe you're not in that upper tier of the SEC West, man. But hey, look at that schedule. I don't see 4 wins. Maybe they'll fire Sam Pittman. Maybe they'll bring in Tom Herman, like a lot of the fan base wants. But yeah, real tough that they couldn't pull out a win there in Tuscaloosa. That was tough to watch.
Feels like some of these were Mizzou games as well. Close ones with BYU, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, all 1-score games. Rest of the schedule doesn't look all that tough though until Missouri on Black Friday. You got Mississippi State at home. Florida on the road is probably a wash, but you got Auburn at home and FIU at home. You could make it interesting going into that Black Friday game. Enter at 5-6 with something to play for. Maybe there's some life in the Hogs. If not, could be a fun one for the Tigers at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's been a bragging rights all year long for Mizzou fans. Yeah,
no bragging here. It's just sad.
Yeah. Sorry, no, we're really sad. I mean, we hate to see the Hogs. We hate to see those twerps.
I wish they were 7-0.
Most false statement, biggest lie ever. All right, good tier list, everyone. We so like I said, last tier is hot seat Sam Pittman, not Sam Hartman. So yeah, we'll see where everyone stacks up next week. Should have a fun one. Alabama, Tennessee. Outside of the Mizzou game, there's some fun games. So we'll see what shakes out next week in the wild world of the SEC. And with that, we will move on. Go over to quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. Kenny, get us started. What is your jersey of the weekend?
Jersey of the weekend goes to Blaine Gabbert. It's a black Mizzou one that I picked up for the homecoming game this upcoming weekend. If you see me in it, give me a shout. I doubt anyone will be because I'm going to be in the student section. I'm going to infiltrate. No one's going to find me. I'm going to get back to my old roots. But yeah, it's a cool jersey. The old Nike one. It smelled like cigarettes when I opened it. It felt like someone just ripped a big one, breathed it into the bag, and then shipped it off to me. I didn't wash it though. I really like the smell of cigarettes.
No, yeah, that's authentic. That's such a football. That's such a football-y, like.
You don't wash your jerseys too.
Jersey.
Like, that's something you just don't do. It.
That's true.
You like the smell of cigarettes.
That and gasoline.
I can get behind gasoline. I can't get behind cigarettes.
Oh,
yeah, that's strange.
It's a cool jersey though. I thought it looked cool.
That would be so funny if I might if someone came up to us while we're all back in Columbia, back to our roots. I know we talked about that we're going back this weekend. If someone came up and actually like saw us and was like, "Hey, don't you guys have a show?" I think I might like pay them money. I'd be like "Thank you. You've made my day." But that, we're going to infiltrate the student section.
First day I met Max Baker, a good friend of ours. He came up to me and said, "You're the Jose Siri guy, right?" And that was my peak of my life.
There you go. Big moment. Yeah, no, that'll be fun. We'll be back for homecoming. If anyone's watching this, and I don't know, come hang out. But we'll be in the
got a grumpy dog. My jersey of the week is going to be Michael Penix. There was football other than Mizzou, Kentucky, believe it or not. Washington and Oregon played perhaps game of the year. This was this game lived up to the hype and then some. Penix had a kind of a rough stretch there in the second half, but when it mattered, that 2-play drive where he found Odunze in the end zone, that was stuff of legends. So that was a great game. Washington, the Huskies, man, that's a good unit over there.
Yeah, this game was so much fun. Me and Peyton, we're big on the Huskies. I ranked them number 2 in my personal AP poll just because they're the best. Yeah, go Huskies! Woof woof! all the way to the college football playoff. Big win over Oregon. Speaking of big games, other than Mizzou, Kentucky, my jersey of the week goes to kind of Caleb Williams, but more so this Notre Dame fan who, after they stormed the field after a big win where Caleb Williams played probably the worst game of his collegiate career, had 3 picks in the first half against the Fighting Irish as number 10 USC lost in South Bend. Fans stormed the field, of course. Big win. A lot of Notre Dame, I know, former players were there and stuff, but a fan sprinted up to Caleb Williams recording, asked him what his fingernails said. Of course, he paints, for the Utah game, he said F Utah on his nails and stuff. Just got in Caleb Williams' face, got pushed away. There's a good photo of Caleb Williams just staring kind of deadpan while this fan just got to have a nice bragging rights moment. So tough for Caleb Williams, but you know what? He's had a lot of dubs in his career. See how are you going to respond, man? We'll see. But a big win for the Fighting Irish on Saturday night to defeat the Trojans.
Interesting, because friend of the show, Alex Mose, who is a Notre Dame student, knows who this guy is. I mean, he said he's in the same grade as him. Some people want this guy banned for life. I think that's a bit extreme. But, yeah, we see this all the time, really.
Yeah, when you have a field storming, I know the other team's trying to get off as quick as possible, but it's unfortunate. But, yeah, maybe get more security people around Caleb Williams then to body them off.
We saw that Mizzou video after the Kansas State game of students rushing the field, and one student was just yelling "F you, F you" to the Kansas State guy. That was just, I don't even know who the player was, but he just yelling at him, and that just happens. I mean, it's college kids; they don't really think before they do stuff, and we know that. Okay, Ken Sports Shorts this week. This is going to be tied into another Missouri football, but we're not looking at records against different teams, different conferences. We're looking at the highest ranked recruits in Mizzou history. And this is connected to Brett Norfleet because he was he had a breakout game against Kentucky with the 40 yards. He's now the starting tight end. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions. This is according to 247 about who the highest ranked Mizzou recruits are all time. We're going to look at the top 5. And then I'll have 2 bonus questions. I'm going to have you guys guess who is at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll start at 1, make it a little bit easier. Start at the top. Peyton, you can go first.
Dorial Green Beckham.
Correct.
So if I get one that isn't number 2, are you still counting it, or do I have to name number 2?
I'm going to say exit. Oh, you can guess someone else that's in the top 5 if you like.
Okay, and, go ahead.
It also includes players that aren't at Mizzou yet.
I was going to say I'm going to guess Williams Nwaneri.
Correct.
Is he 2 or is he?
He's 2.
Okay. 3 is Luther Burton.
Correct.
Oh boy.
4 and 5. I'll give you the positions.
Yes,
they're both defensive tackles.
Great.
Yep. I know one.
Do you know Peyton?
Sure.
You
I know one for sure.
Is one of them? One of them isn't.
Actually, no, I know both.
Not Sheldon. It's not Sheldon Richardson, is it?
Yeah,
Sheldon
he's
Richardson?
number 5.
Yep.
Okay.
And the other one is Terry Beckner.
Correct. Terry Beckner
would not
Jr.
have
is
got
at
that.
4. Okay. These next 3 questions are going to be who are the highest ranked at each position. I'm not going to do wide receiver because Dorial Green Beckham was number 1. But who is the highest ranked quarterback in Mizzou history, according to 247?
Is it me technically to guess? And then
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, also, we should say while we're on recruiting, Ryan Wingo's gained the momentum. Huge. Even more we've been seeing on Twitter. I think we talked about it a little bit. Highest quarterback in recruit in Missouri history.
Don't overthink it.
It's not. Is it Locke?
Nope.
It's not. It's Gabbert, I believe.
It's Blaine Gabbert. Yes, he is number 1.
I was going to guess, one of them. Chase Daniel.
Next position, running back, and I don't expect you guys to get this.
Oh, it's like a 2004 guy, isn't it? Like around then.
He likely finished his career in 2004, yes.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I
don't
can't
know
say
his name.
I can't say I know who this is. Ezekiel Elliott. I'm just kidding. That's a soft spot or a touchy subject. I don't know.
What are his initials?
DN.
I don't know. Oh wait, Daniel Nesbitt or something like that. That's a name I know. I don't know.
It's Damian Nash, who
Oh.
tragically did pass away in 2007, but he had a short
did
NFL
know
career as
that.
well. Played with the
Rest in peace.
Titans and the Broncos. Drafted in 2005 in the 5th round. Yeah,
Damian
he's the
Nash.
highest ranked. He played for Riverview Gardens in the St. Louis area. Next one, the highest ranked tight end in Mizzou history.
It's not Winslow, is it?
No, they didn't
Okay.
recruit. They didn't have recruiting.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
guess
think they had recruiting.
They didn't have recruiting back then. Good point.
Is it like Ed Lucas or something?
Nope.
When was this guy recruit?
Yeah, when was this happening?
I'm not gonna. That's too easy to give you guys that.
Okay.
Oh, Albert
Is it
L.
Albert?
Nope.
Chase Kaufman.
Nope.
Brock Olivo.
Nope.
I don't even know if that's. Yeah. I don't know then. I guess.
Is it? It's got to be someone fairly recent. Did they bring someone in that like transferred, or just didn't like
Norfleet
really
isn't
pan out?
Like a
They don't
think it's
consider. They don't
Transfer.
consider transfers on this.
No. I don't mean. I mean like they had a recruit that like left, like that may be transferred.
that wouldn't count. Oh wait, yeah, no.
No,
I see
what?
you're saying.
like
Travion
I see-
Ford
I see what he's saying. Yeah.
Travion
Travion
Ford
Ford?
is right before this guy. No,
I
Travion
don't
Ford was
know who it
He
is.
left. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, no.
It's Brett Norfleet.
Is
That's
it
where I got
Norfleet?
this.
Oh, okay.
He's the highest
He's their
ranked
highest
tight
tight
end
end recruit ever.
ever.
Wow.
That
Was
is
he
kind of
4-star?
crazy.
He was a 4-star, yes.
4-star.
Albert
Shout
O
out. He's
comes
gonna
in
be
at
so good.
199.
Wow.
Wow.
Not a tight end, but just in general.
overall.
Yeah,
Yes.
I figured.
Brett Norfleet's gonna be so good, guys. Like it's just he's bound for a fruitful career.
All right.
Connor Bazelak, number 71. Tyler Macon,
Ugh.
number 72.
Wow.
I forgot that Bazelak was actually a 4-star.
Yeah.
Oh, this kind of makes me sad. Number 69, Xavier Simmons. Unfortunate career for him. And then I talked to Jack about this. Raymond Wingo, who played at SLU, class of 2014. That's an interesting one. I wonder if he has any relation to Ryan Wingo.
Yeah, we didn't figure out if he's related at all
He was
to
a
Ryan.
corner.
Well, Ryan
There's
Wingo
my
will jump
sports
up. He'll jump up that list if Mizzou lands him. Momentum swinging. We'll see. All right. Best beats, Kenny. Start us off. We had a good week, didn't we? This past or weekend.
You two. did.
We had a fine week. Jack and myself, we are now at 17-5 with our 2 beats hitting. For Peyton, your bet did not hit. You are now 18-4. Louisville did not cover 8.5. They also lost. So looking at this week, you can't bet against James Madison. You got to root for James Madison. They can't play in a bowl game. They should be able to play in a bowl game. They won't be able to play one in just yet. We got them -4 over Marshall.
Yeah, it's 6-0.
They should be bowling, but they are not. I'm going back to an 8.5 line here. I'm going with the Crimson Tide. They're at home, big rivalry game, Tennessee. I think they're going to eat Joe Milton alive, that defense, because this defense at Bama is getting a bit overlooked. I think Milroe has a bounce back game, and I think Bama easily covers the 8.5 here.
Their secondary is really, really good, even outside of Kool-Aid, who I think is the name everyone knows. Yeah, Kool-Aid's good. They're gonna get a corner named Malachi Moore back too. So we'll see. I don't know if they make bad sloppy like penalties and like their offense doesn't show, it could be ugly, but I could see it. This is I teased this in our bet online in the ad read, but I'm going ultimate sicko this week. I just had to suffer through my other favorite team, the Wisconsin Badgers, losing to Iowa with Iowa's backup quarterback. They also lost both their tight ends in this game. Still beat Wisconsin 15-6, and now they're at home. They're going back home to play Minnesota. The over/under in this game, BetOnline has it at 33. I'm betting the under. No way this is a 17-16 game. Ultimate sicko Big Ten West football. The Big Ten West is terrible this year. And Iowa, undefeated when they score more than 0 points. So all they need is a safety. And they're bound to win. I think my prediction is 12-8 in favor of the Hawks. Give me the under in the Iowa-Minnesota game.
You should skip homecoming and go to this game instead.
Sicko football. Our friend of the show, Peter Camp, who's an Iowa fan, him and I were texting during the Iowa-Wisconsin game. He wanted to, quote, wash his eyes out with bleach after he watched that, and his team won the game. So, yeah, it's welcome Oregon and Washington. This is what, and UCLA, USC, this is what you're getting into. Have fun. Dirty Bird.
My dirty bird of the week goes to Lamar Jackson. Could be a main bird as well. Beautiful IQ test post here from Wise Connector on X. IQ test, 98% of people fail. Johnny's father's name has 5 sons, Zays, Z's, Zais, and Zos. What is the name of the 5th son? Lamar Jackson replied, Johnny. Great reply there. The degenerate on X screenshotted it and said,
Great name.
Dude is fucking dialed. Ravens by 1 million tomorrow. The Ravens won 24-16. Those are the Dirty Birds, and led by Dirty Bird of the Week, Lamar Jackson. Weekend.
That was kind of a sicko game too. They should have beat Tennessee by way more out in London.
Absolute dynamite caption by the degenerate. I love something about the way that's worded makes me laugh. But yeah, no, that's a good one. My Dirty Bird is a former Tiger, now Mean Green, who has their logo as a bird. Jamori Macklin, wide receiver for UNT. He was a 2019 recruit, 2020 recruit, if I'm not mistaken. He went off this weekend, 6 receptions for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. Good for Jamori. You know, he's been at UNT for a couple years now. Seems to have settled in pretty well there.
Yeah, locked in with the Mean Green.
I
They're having
remember
a good season, aren't they?
They're 3-3. They're fine. I remember the recruiting class he was in was so bad. He was legitimately like the second best recruit, and it was like JJ Hester was number 1.
New era, but glad he's finding success. Good for him. My Dirty Bird of the Week. I didn't even mean to really do this again, but sorry, Caleb Williams. It's you again. I believe his high school's mascot was the Eagles. That is his connection to the bird. I mentioned this. He got called up by a Notre Dame fan through 3 picks. Notre Dame crushed USC, an ultimate kind of bag fumble game for the Trojans, who's now, especially with how good Washington looks, their path to the playoff might be a little difficult. And Caleb Williams may have played his way out of the Heisman conversation with this 3 INT performance. So tough.
You know, it's over for him.
Everything's off. You don't want him. Do you want him to be your quarterback still, Peyton, for the Bears?
I'm a little bit in wait and see. Drake May has me a little intrigued too, though. But
big UNC guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Peyton, I wouldn't knock on that 2020 class. Actually, it's pretty loaded. Ennis Rakestraw, Chris Abrams-Drain, Johnny Walker, Brady Cook.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm
Jalen
clearly
Carleys,
thinking of the wrong
Harrison
class.
Nevis, Mitchell Walters, Drake Heismeyer. There's definitely guys on this team that are pretty good.
Was Valen Erickson in this class?
He was not. I believe Valen Erickson was a freshman last year.
Yeah, he was very recent. Okay, so I'm thinking I thought he was in the 2019 class with JJ Hester probably, but no, that 2020 class is actually pretty good.
JJ Hester was also in this class.
Huh. Okay. Never mind then. Barry Odom was recruiting God, and Elijah Drinkwitz finished it off.
JJ Hester was one of the top ones. He was rated 5.7 by Rivals, along with Jay Macklin, Mitchell Walters, Brady Cook, and Montre Edwards II.
Who?
No idea.
Don't even remember him.
Don't know what that is.
Moving on, best thing I learned this week, Kim Ng, the former Marlins GM, the now former Marlins GM, she's out, man. The first female GM in, I believe, just the major 4 sports, if I'm not mistaken. She announced her resignation this morning. Apparently her and Bruce Sherman, the Marlins owner, did not agree on how they wanted the front office shaped. So she's gone after taking the team to the postseason on a shoestring budget. Kind of surprising, but that's what it is.
Very unfortunate. I think it kind of plays into that she didn't promote a very special player to our hearts
That's what I'm saying.
in Troy
That's what
Johnston.
I'm saying. Didn't call him up. I don't know.
All could have been avoided. Okay, my best thing I learned this weekend is Jack. Jack has a new job. He now covers Alabama recruiting and basketball for Rivals. Pretty excited for Jack to get involved in the Rivals world. Thank you for playing the clapping, Peyton.
I forgot.
Crap.
There it is. Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, you probably already noticed on this show. I already know more about Alabama than I did all season. But yeah, so you'll have more insight, I guess, on that. I've like memorized their basketball roster already. Should be an interesting season. They obviously beat Mizzou twice last year, but they're not as good. Still pretty decent. And yeah, you'll still get a bunch of Mizzou content for me. But I guess I'm wrapped up now in 2 SEC teams. So thanks, Kenny. Yeah, my best thing I learned this week, I have embraced the sicko in college football on Saturday. This comes from Sicko's committee on X. This is the drive summary I'm going to read you guys from the Navy versus Charlotte football game that I believe ended in a 14-0 win for Navy. The midshipmen getting it done. But this is up till halftime. Let me just make sure I got it right. Punt, 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 end of half. 0-0 at halftime. Sicko football. I love it.
Sometimes I wonder why teams that aren't Power 5 play football.
The midshipmen rolled 14-0. I think they're 3-3. Watch out, Air Force. They're coming. That Army Navy game is going to go crazy. I'm just kidding. Shout out the Air Force, though. What are they, 22? 6-0?
Beat Wyoming.
High flying Falcons. All right. Ratio / joke / bonk / community note.
The ratio of the weekend goes to Chase Daniels Burner. Gabe Matter, who is an account that has fun on X. I think people rag on this guy. Yeah, you're kind of missing what he's doing. He kind of just steals stuff, and then when anyone else posts something, he'll say that you stole it from him. Well, Gabe Matter quote tweeted Chase Daniels Burner and said, "Bro thinks I'd steal from him." Chase Daniels Burner replied, you a fraud, shit stain on the Mizzou fan base. I got 9 likes. Gabe Matter just got ratioed with the 7 replies. It's going up from this as well. And then UK's next OC quote tweeted a Chase Daniels Burner post, and it got 0 likes but 2 replies. One of those replies was from Chase Daniels Burner, who was up at 11 likes with saying, "Damn bro, who hurt your sorry ass?" So Chase Daniels Burner going after some people, and you can see Chase Daniels Burner will reply to a lot of people. Got the bookmarks as well, so they're dialed in.
It's a little inter Mizzou Twitter beef that we're putting on blast here. We're on the same team here, you guys.
You guys are missing.
Come on,
people are missing the point with this Gabe Matter account. It is totally ironic. I mean, look at his tweet from 14 hours ago. Literally just posting a screenshot of Ryan Wingo crystal balls and saying, Mizzou fan club keeping a close eye on this. That is so funny. He stole SEC Mike's power rankings and just said they're his power rankings. This is literally perfect. I love this account. And people need to catch up with it. It's totally ironic. He posted somebody else's photo of them driving to the Kentucky game and said he was on the road to the Kentucky. Like, that is so funny.
It is. The profile photo is the Mizzou fan club logo, and the header is from the Power Mizzou logo. The bio is Mizzou beat writer, editor for Mizzou fan club, proud Antler alum. It's definitely is a former Antler just having fun.
I believe that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's.
I think he. I just realized this. He follows me on Twitter.
He follows me too.
He followed all of us when I posted.
Oh, nice. He's gonna start stealing our tweets. He's gonna be like, new episode from Gabe Matter, you guys. And it's just our show.
He's gonna steal. I hope he steals the tier list, and if he does, we should. Just
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Be like, well, we quote tweet and be like, great tier list from Game Matter here this week, guys. Check it out.
Be like Mizzou
We
fan
should start
club's
doing this
SEC
on the
tier
show.
list is fire.
You know what?
But
We'll
yeah,
get out
no.
ahead of it. Gabe Matter, you have express written permission to spew our content on Twitter as your own. We don't care. Maybe not,
Absolutely, the banner, like Kenny mentioned, his header it just being the Mizzou part of the Power Mizzou logo is so funny. But moving on.
Yeah, shout out.
I understand we have a community note of the week.
We do indeed have a community note of the week. So this comes from Dylan Dennis on X, who of course lost to YouTuber Logan Paul on Saturday. There's some YouTube boxing going on. KSI and Logan Paul both fought. They did not fight each other. They fought other people. KSI lost, but Logan Paul apparently won. Beat Dylan Dennis on a disqualification. Dylan Dennis was disqualified. I'm like skimming the CBS article. I guess he was grabbing Logan Paul, but he went on X to express his anger. He said, "Hey, at Jake Paul, your brother hits like a bitch, and if you knock me out, I'll retire forever and give everyone who likes this tweet $2,000 with the mic emoji and the shrug emoji." This was immediately community noted. Readers adding context that says Dylan Dennis often offers to give large sums of money to those who interact with his tweets. There is no evidence that he has ever paid a follower for liking or retweeting one of his tweets. So ultimate couple of L's there for Dylan Dennis. Lost to a YouTuber, got disqualified, I guess, and got owned by the community notes because I guess he does not like to share his winnings, even though he offers to. YouTube boxing, everybody. YouTube boxing.
Why is YouTube boxing a thing? I don't really understand it.
It was fun when it was like KSI and Logan Paul like beefing, but now they're just like on the same team because they have the drink, and then they fight other people to make money. I don't really know. It's a lore I have no input in anymore, but
it's turning into WWE. It's all fake. It's both sides are making a lot of money and making fools of themselves at the same time. And yeah, that was a shot at you, Peyton. WWE sucks. Sorry, that was mean. I'm sorry. I it is fake though.
Why he said that?
The worst part of this fight is that Dylan Dennis went into like a position where he got on his back and put his legs up in the air, kind of almost like I don't know. I can't do it.
What are you talking about, man?
There is in the fight. He gets on his back and puts his legs up in the air.
Aren't they boxing? They're not wrestling.
Yes, I know. He does it as like mocking.
Oh, okay.
His significant other, what they would do.
Jesus!
Right.
But did this during a fight.
This makes this lead in this CBS article that said he was all like idiocy and no boxing. That makes a lot more sense now. So
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's gross.
Whatever. I do like Prime though. I'll just put that out there. Good drink. All right, we'll segue and we're gonna finish the show. We're gonna do a little NFL fraud rankings. It was a wild week in football, so I think Kenny's going to have a field day with this one. So stay tuned for that NFL fraud rankings to close out the show. Okay, it's that time. It's the Monday show. We had NFL Sunday last week, which means it's time for the fraud rankings. Mr. Van Doren.
Fraud.
This one's pretty easy. We got to give number 5 to Desmond Ridder, finally losing a home game in the NFL after starting off 5-0 in his career as a starting quarterback for Atlanta. Went 26-0 at Cincinnati.
Fraud.
He
Maybe it should be
300
Taylor Heineke.
yards last week, and then he threw 3 interceptions.
Fraud.
Coming in at number 4 on the fraud ranking, brought him up a little bit earlier during quick hits. It goes to the Tennessee Titans. We've mentioned it before. They make us think they're good, look good. They look terrible right after they lost 24-16. Might be time for Ryan Tannehill to call it a career. 8 for 16, 76 yards on the interception. Did get hurt in this game as well. Malik Willis, quarterback of the future.
Bad.
Heard that
Fraud.
Fraud.
He stayed in bounds with a minute left and no timeouts. What are you doing?
Got sacked like 4 times. Fraud.
Bad. Fraud.
Coming in at 3rd place, going into the state of New York here, the Buffalo Bills, only winning 14-9, against their New York Giants. What's going on there with the Buffalo Bills? Another weird win. Tyrod Taylor.
PI at the end of the game, too.
Texans legend. You can say a legend of many teams. I was really hoping that his Bills legend. I was hoping Tyrod Taylor could come away with a win against his former team. I also heard that this is the Giants' first loss ever in the state of New York since they moved to New Jersey.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
maybe they should have, thrown the ball at halftime, and we would have a real fraud ranking for the Bills. But they came away with the win. Worked it out. Red jerseys.
Real talk. I know this is well-intentioned probably, but what was with the Damar Hamlin windows in the ambulance? That felt really weird.
Was a little strange. Yeah. I don't disagree.
But anyways, Bills are frauds.
Yeah. Fraud.
Coming in at number 2 in the fraud ranking. Number 2 and number 1 could be easily changeable depending on your own feelings of how
more undefeated
these teams are. The Philadelphia Eagles. Number 2 in the fraud rankings, losing to the New York Jets on the road, 20-14. Jalen Hurts, 3 interceptions.
Philadelphia.
280
Eagles,
yards
more like Feebles.
Jalen Hurts has lost to Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Another quarterback getting thrown into that conversation is Zach Wilson. And Zach Wilson,
he might be him
around the season.
And
19
Taylor
for
Heineke.
33, 186 yards. And Taylor Heineke is also in that conversation. Number 1 on the fraud rankings goes to the 49ers.
Fraudy Niners.
Not just Phillip Walker. It's PJ Walker. 18 for 34, 192 yards. We're not going to mention the 2 interceptions. Big win for the Cleveland Browns, taking down the undefeated San Francisco 49ers, 19-17 at home. Kind of a muggy day.
Brock Purdy, first regular season loss for Brock Purdy. Luther Burden Sr. got hurt in this game, too.
That is true. That concludes the fraud rankings for this week.
Yeah, easy number 1 and number 2. No more undefeated teams in the NFL anymore. Wild. Sad. 49ers look human.
Is undefeated
first pick
when the Texans win. There you go.
Banger.
Thanks. Yeah.
He's undefeated when he throws a pick.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, he threw a pick. Finally, he's human. Running away with the Rookie of the Year race. Good NFL recap. It's a wild week of football. No more undefeateds. With that, we will end the show. We'll be back on Friday. We'll have a preview of Mizzou, South Carolina. Actually, wait a minute. We got to figure this out. We're going to figure out Friday's show. Are we going to have a show Friday?
Yes.
We could just
record. We record on Thursdays. We can have a show on Friday.
Thursday, I don't think.
Why?
Or is Jack?
I might be
this part out.
We have to figure that out because I might be with Peyton.
Well, we might have to. Day is the thing.
That's true.
Oh, we could record Thursday because we could just record Thursday.
Live scheduling. Yeah, we'll have a show Friday. We're gonna preview South Carolina, but we won't have a recap because we're gonna all be there. So stay tuned. We'll have a preview Thursday or Friday out. Looking at hopefully not a loss. Hopefully we aren't a jinx to the Missouri Tigers with us showing up for homecoming. But in the meantime, everyone enjoy your week. We will see you guys on Friday. This is the Unwritten Rule presented by Bet Online. So safe.